Video 6.11 Azure Compliance and Privacy Services. In this video, we will cover the following topics: an overview of Microsoft compliance offerings, an overview of the Microsoft Privacy Statement, an overview of the Microsoft Trust Center, an overview of the Azure STP or Service Trust Portal, an overview of the Azure Compliance Manager, an overview of the Azure Government Services, an overview of the Azure China 21 ViaNet. Organizations use Azure services to build new solutions. But how can organizations using Azure be confident about Azure's management of resources they are building upon? How do they ensure that their data is secure and not disclosed to any other organizations? These can be known by taking a look at Microsoft compliance offerings. The compliance is like a rule book that Azure abides by, and you can rest assured about Azure's commitment to data residency and compliance standards. At the junction where we have traffic lights, all the vehicles and pedestrians stop when the signal is red and move when the signal is green. We follow the traffic laws for safe driving. Similarly, Azure complies to the compliance offerings. Here are some of the compliance offerings. Criminal Justice Information Service or CJIS. Access to the FBI's Criminal Justice Information Services or CJIS database can be acquired by any US state or local agency only if they adhere to CJIS security policy. Cloud Security Alliance or CSA STAR certification. Independent third-party assessment of a cloud provider's security posture. European Union or EU model clauses. Microsoft offers a guarantee for any personal data leaving the European Union. Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act or HIPAA. It is a legislation that provides data privacy and security provisions for safeguarding medical information. International Organization of Standards or ISO or International Electrotechnical Commission or IEC 27018. The first organization to adopt, that is ISO/IEC, is Microsoft. It covers the code of practice for processing of personal information by cloud service providers. Multi-Tier Cloud Security or MTCS Singapore. A compliance program that addresses that data is secure and confidential in the cloud. Service Organization Controls or SOC 1, 2 and 3. An independent third-party examination reports that demonstrate how the company achieves key compliance controls and objectives. National Institute of Standards and Technology or NIST. Cybersecurity Framework CSF. It contains standards, guidelines, and best practices to manage cybersecurity-related risks. United Kingdom or UK Government G-Cloud. Cloud Computing Certification for services used by government entities in the United Kingdom or UK. To take a look at all of the compliance programs in Azure, check out the link in the resources. A privacy statement is available at the bottom of most of the websites. It is an agreement between the company and the website user about how the company would collect, process, and use the information. In the same way, Microsoft also has a privacy statement. It explains the data Microsoft collects, the way it uses the data, and the purpose of its usage. Microsoft collects the data from you like your searched product data, personal data, etc. Microsoft uses this data to develop its products, for advertising, and also to personalize recommendations. Before providing any information about your organization, please read Microsoft's privacy statement. Azure Trust Center contains information about privacy, security, and compliance implementation in Microsoft. It is a public-facing website portal that provides in-depth information on policies, features, and practices across Microsoft products, a list of widely used resources for each topic, specific information about organizational roles, etc. One of the security and compliance services offered by Microsoft is the Service Trust Portal. It is a companion feature to the Azure Trust Center. With the help of Service Trust Portal, customers can view the available independent audit reports of Microsoft's cloud services, containing information about compliance with data protection standards and regulatory requirements. Penetration tests and security assessments of Microsoft. Penetration testing is a cyber attack test performed to evaluate the security of the computer. Azure blueprints can be used from Service Trust Portal. Access to white papers, FAQs, and compliance guides can be gained with the Azure Service Trust Portal's help. An interactive tool available within the Service Trust Center is Compliance Manager. The organizations using Azure can track, assign, and verify their organization's regulatory compliance activities. This also makes it easy for organizations to generate compliance reports. A compliance score can also be obtained that helps you track and prioritize auditing controls. It also has a secure repository where you can upload and manage evidence and other artifacts related to compliance activities. It also provides suggestions to improve your regulatory compliance. US government agencies have unique requirements in terms of security and compliance. The government agencies also want to take advantage of all the benefits of cloud platforms. But because they need more privacy and security, they are stepping back in using the cloud. So, Azure has introduced the Azure Government Services, a cloud environment specifically designed for US government agencies to meet the US government's security and compliance requirements. Azure Government is a physically separated instance of Azure dedicated to US government workloads. In a similar way to secure and provide compliance to China's government agencies, Microsoft has a separate instance of cloud services for China called Azure China 21 ViaNet. It's a sovereign cloud that supports data residency and compliance requirements. Microsoft doesn't operate this. Instead, they have partnered with 21 ViaNet. If you're willing to deploy your workloads in Azure China, you need to be a legal entity in China, and you need to satisfy a set of requirements and compliance. Azure China 21 ViaNet provides world-class security and provides core components of IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS like network, storage, compute, and many other services. This brings us to the end of this video. In summary, in this video, we have covered the following topics: an overview of Microsoft compliance offerings, an overview of the Microsoft privacy statement, an overview of the Microsoft Trust Center, an overview of the Azure STP or Service Trust Portal, an overview of the Azure Compliance Manager, an overview of the Azure Government Services, an overview of the Azure China 21 ViaNet. Section Summary. In this section, we have covered the following topics: the Azure Shared Security Paradigm, Azure Firewall, Azure DDoS Protection Services, Azure Network Security Solutions, Azure Security Center, Azure Key Vault, Azure Information and Advanced Threat Protection, Azure Blueprints and Subscriptions, Azure Monitoring Services, Azure Reporting Services, Azure Compliance and Privacy Services. In the next section, we will learn about Azure pricing, SLA, and life cycles.